Today we're going to get into the really cool story of how an AI was taught to spot brain tumors just by looking at MRI scans. But this isn't just one story, it's really a tale of two AIs. The first attempt was good, but the second was a genuine game changer.
Okay, so take a look at these. To most of us, they probably look kind of similar, right? But what you're seeing are wildly different conditions. Being able to tell the difference between a healthy brain and 3 different kinds of tumors is an incredibly hard visual puzzle. It's a skill that takes human radiologists years of intense training to get right, because the tiniest differences in shape or texture mean everything.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Can we actually teach an AI to not just look at these images, but to understand them with the kind of accuracy you'd expect from an expert? We're going to find out by walking through 2 very different ways to tackle this.
So for our first try, we're going old school. We're building a brand new AI model completely from scratch. It's a total blank slate. You can think of it like a medical student who's just been handed a textbook for the very first time, with absolutely no prior experience.
And this is its textbook. The AI is going to learn from over 7,000 MRI scans that have already been labeled by experts. We've got a good mix of all 4 types: glioma, meningioma, pituitary tumors, and of course, healthy brains. This data is the only thing our AI has to learn from.
The game plan for this version 1.0 is pretty straightforward. First, you got to prep the data. Make sure all the images are the same size, same brightness, get them all cleaned up. Next, we design the AI's brain. It's a special kind of network called a CNN, which is just brilliant at processing images. And finally, the training begins. We just show the model these images again and again and again. It makes a guess, we tell it if it's right or wrong, and slowly but surely, it starts to learn the patterns.
All right, so after all that studying, how did our student do on its final exam? Let's check out the results from our first model.
94%. Now, on the surface, that sounds incredible. And hey, don't get me wrong, it is a really strong result. It's getting it right 94 times out of 100 on images it's never even seen before. But in medicine, that last 6%, that's where the stakes get incredibly high. We've got to dig into where it's going wrong.
So this chart here is called a confusion matrix. Just think of it as a super detailed report card for our AI. That bright diagonal line running from the top left to the bottom right, that's everything it got right. Perfect. But all the numbers off that diagonal, those are the mistakes. And you can see that while it's great with healthy scans, it's making some pretty big errors somewhere else.
And here it is, the model's Achilles heel. It was constantly getting 2 types of tumors, meningioma and glioma, mixed up. I mean, it mistook one for the other over 30 times. Now, this is a critical failure because these 2 tumors can require totally different treatments. So even though 94% sounds good, this one specific weakness makes the model too unreliable for real-world use.
So this brings us to round 2. We started to think, maybe the problem isn't the student, maybe it's the teaching method. Instead of just throwing a single textbook at our AI, what if we gave it a mentor? What if it could learn from another model that already knew a ton about what things look like? And that's where this idea of a pre-trained model comes in. The one we used is called DINOv2. The best way to think about DINOv2 is as a seasoned expert. It's already looked at millions and millions of images of, everything. It hasn't seen brain scans before, no, but it has a deep understanding of the basics, like textures, edges, shapes, and patterns. It already knows how to see. So let's just put these 2 ways of learning side by side. Our first model, the standard one, started from absolute zero. It had to figure out what an edge even was just from our 7,000 scans. But our new model? It starts with all that expert knowledge from DINOv2 and just learns how to apply that knowledge to our brain scans. It's really the difference between a student reading a book alone in a library and one being personally guided by a world-class surgeon.
So, does having a mentor really make that much of a difference? Let's get to the good stuff and see how this new, mentored AI did on the exact same test.
97%. A jump from 94 to 97. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. 3%? That's it? But trust me, in the world of medical diagnostics, a 3-point jump like this, it's absolutely massive.
And here's why that's such a big deal. That little 3% jump means we cut the model's error rate in half. We went from being wrong 6% of the time down to only 3%. That is the kind of leap in reliability that takes a tool from being just an interesting experiment to something a doctor can actually trust to help them save lives.
And this, right here, is the visual proof. On the left is the report card for our first model, with all those big red squares showing where it got confused. Now look at the right. That's our new model. See how much cleaner that diagonal line is? Those misclassifications between glioma and meningioma, they've almost completely disappeared. The model that had a mentor is just a better, smarter, more reliable expert, period.
Let's just break that down real quick. So yeah, accuracy took a big leap to 97%. But look at the score for meningioma. That was its biggest weakness, right? It shot up from 0.88 to 0.93. We specifically fixed the biggest problem, and its ability to spot healthy scans is now almost perfect, at 0.99, which is so important for not worrying patients unnecessarily.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Why was this second approach so much more powerful?
And it all comes down to this one simple idea. The quality of what the AI already knew at the beginning was more important than the fancy, complex design of the model we built. By giving the AI a rich understanding of the world with DINOv2, we gave it a massive head start. A smarter starting point was way more effective than trying to build a brain from scratch.
So just to sum it all up, this upgrade completely solved the most dangerous point of confusion between those tumor types. It got incredibly good at spotting healthy scans, and it performed at an elite level across the board. It really proved a powerful lesson in AI. Sometimes, the best way forward isn't to build something new, but to build on the wisdom that's already out there.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating question for the future, doesn't it? If this mentor approach works this well for brain tumors, what other huge medical challenges, from analyzing X-rays to spotting skin cancer, could be revolutionized not by starting from zero, but by giving our AI an expert mentor from day one?